Welcome to NM Serena. In this video, we are going to discuss about the commercial banks. The commercial banks are commercial concerns that collect money from those who have it or those who save it out of their income and they lend it to those who require it. So we can say that commercial bank is an organization that accepts deposits for the purpose of lending. They also provide various types of financial services to the customers in consideration for some payments in the form of interest, discounts, fees, or commission. So, the commercial banks deal in other people's money. The word bank is usually used to denote the commercial banks. Commercial banks perform a number of functions. It is not possible to make an inclusive list of all the bank's functions and services, but let us make an attempt to classify the functions of the commercial banks. Mainly, there are three functions: primary functions, general utility functions, and agency functions. And the primary functions can again be classified into two as acid test functions and other functions. And now let us discuss each of these functions one by one. The first one is the primary or the basic functions of a commercial bank, and the basic functions can be classified into two as acid test functions and other functions. The acid test functions are called so because unless an establishment satisfies the acid test functions, it cannot be a banker. Now let us see what are the acid test functions. The first and the most important acid test function or the basic function of a commercial bank is acceptance of deposits from the public. Although a bank accepts non-checkable deposits, it must accept checkable deposits from the public. Checkable deposits means deposits withdrawable by checks. It is this function that differentiates a commercial bank from the other non-banking institutions. Because even the public limited companies and financing firms accept term deposits, but they do not accept checkable deposits. And the banks accept deposits from the public at large. That means they not only accept it from their shareholders or members, they have to accept it from the public at large. And so, banks accept deposits by mobilizing the savings of the public. To mobilize the savings and to hold deposits, the banks have to pay interest on the deposits. To attract the depositors, the banks maintain different types of accounts like fixed deposit account, savings bank account, current account, and recurring deposit account. And the second acid test function of a commercial bank is lending or advancing loans. A commercial bank must lend the deposits or make advances to the public directly or indirectly. Most of the financial institutions like IDBI, LIC, UTI, IFCI, and other state financial corporations, they also lend money or advance loans, but they are not commercial banks. Then we have to understand what is that thing that differentiates these commercial banks and other financial institutions. The difference is that lending must be on the basis of funds raised through acceptance of deposits from the public. So, only if an institution accept deposit and lend loan, it becomes a commercial bank. So, when a financial institution lend loans or provide financial assistance without accepting deposits at large from the public, it cannot be a bank. It can only be a financial firm or a financial institution like IDBI, IFCI, LIC, etc. So, to become a banker, they have to observe these two acid test functions, accepting deposits and lending loans from these accepted deposits. The usual methods adopted by the commercial banks to make advances or lend loans are money at call, overdraft, cash credit, discounting of bills, and term loans. And the next primary function is credit creation. It is a function that is automatically performed by the banker while advancing credit or loans or by accepting deposits. So, even if the banker is accepting deposits or lending money, the banker is creating credit. Let us see how it is done. When a banker advances a loan or credit, it does not lend cash, but it is opening an account in the favor of the customer and the banker is crediting the amount to the account. So, in effect, the banker is actually opening an account. It creates a claim against itself which is acceptable by the public for the settlement of these debts. As these claims against the banks are accepted by the public for settling their debts, it is an important constituent of money supply. In this process, we can call the bank as a creator of money. So the bank is always creating money. And apart from performing the primary functions of accepting deposits and lending money, the bankers also render a number of useful services to the customers. And in rendering these services, sometimes the bank acts as an agent of the customer. Such services are called agency services. Let us see what all are the agency services provided by the commercial banks. The first one is collection and payment of credit and other instruments. The commercial banks collect and pay the various negotiable instruments like checks, bills of exchange, promissory notes, coupons, dividend warrants, etc. And they also pay the rent, income tax, fees, insurance premium, etc. on behalf of their customers. Another function is sale and purchase of stock exchange securities. The modern commercial banks also undertake the purchase and sale of shares, bonds, units, debentures, etc. on behalf of the customers. They simply perform the functions of a broker. Another one is administration of wills and trusteeship. Through expert staff and specialized departments, the banks undertake the administration of will or settlements and trusteeship functions. Sometimes the banks also undertake income tax services on behalf of their customer. And the commercial banks remit funds on behalf of their clients from one place to another through checks, drafts, mail transfers, etc. Sometimes the commercial banks act as representatives or correspondents of the clients, especially in handling various applications like passport and travel tickets, booking of vehicles, plots, etc. And in addition to that, the commercial banks in many countries they also trade in bullions like gold and silver. And next, let us discuss the general utility functions performed by the commercial banks. The banks accept the valuable articles and documents for safe custody. The bankers have evolved the locker system. Under this system, the lockers are rented out to the public and the public can keep the valuables in these lockers. The valuables kept in the lockers are looked after by the banker. So it is a safe place for the public. And the next one is that if desired by the customer, the bank can be a referee. That is, it could be referred by the third parties for seeking information regarding the financial position of the customer. The bank will act as referee only if it is desired by the customer. Otherwise, the secrecy of a customer's account is maintained very confidentially. And then the bankers, in a way, by issuing letters of credit, certify the credit worthiness of the customers. And letters of credit are very popular in the case of foreign trade. And the bankers also underwrite the securities issued by the government and other corporate bodies for commission. The name of a bank as an underwriter encourages the investors to have faith in the security. Nowadays, the commercial banks also undertake the function of acting as insurance brokers of the insurance companies also. And next, the bankers also act as information centers. That is, they collect the financial, economic, and statistical data relating to industry, trade, and commerce. The information is made available to the various interested parties. And in addition to that, the major branches of commercial banks also transact business of foreign exchange. Commercial banks are actually the main authorized dealers of foreign exchange in India. Then the commercial banks also render merchant banking services to the customers. They help in availing loans from non-banking financial institutions. However, in the recent past, most of the banks have transferred the merchant banking services to separate subsidiaries. So these are the general utility functions provided by the commercial banks. In addition to the discussed functions, some other functions are like issuing of gift checks, traveler's checks, and credit cards are all coming under the general utility functions of the commercial banks. And next, let us discuss the role of commercial banks in economic development. The commercial banks support or assist in the economic development by mobilization of savings from the public and channelizing these savings into productive channels. In addition to that, they extend their financial services to the rural areas. Thus, they help in the upliftment of the people in the rural areas also. Thus, they are supporting in reducing the regional disparities, and they are also providing credit to the weaker sections of society. This is done by setting up branches in rural areas also, so that they can serve the weaker sections of the society living especially in the backward areas of the country. They are trying to include all types of people or all sections of the public into the banking system. That is normally called financial inclusion. So through financial inclusion, they are trying to provide credit to all type of people in the society by setting up branches in those areas that are not coming under the banking system. And they are also supporting in the implementation of government policies from time to time. So that's all about the commercial banks. Now we have discussed about the various functions of the commercial banks and the role of commercial banks in the economic development of a nation. Thank you for watching this video. For more videos, subscribe the channel.